welcome to the Higher Ed Geek Podcast. For each week, we explore the impact of EdTech on the student experience with engaging, fun, and relevant conversations that honor the wide range of work happening all across the higher ed ecosystem. I'm your host, Dustin Ramsdell. I've been working in and around higher ed for the past decade focused on student support and digital experiences. Join me every week for discussions with some of the best minds in education technology. The Higher Ed Geek Podcast is a part of the Enrollify Podcast Network, a robust collection of shows designed to help higher education professionals like you grow. Explore our other shows at enrollify.org or check out some of my personal favorites linked in the show notes below. Enrollify is made possible by Element 451, the leading AI-powered all-in-one student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, and engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com. Welcome, everyone, to another super special live episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast here at the AI show, the ASU GSV Summit in beautiful San Diego. So we are here with Julia Dixon, a Forbes 30 under 30, which is really cool, just as like a unique part of your story. Saw that on your LinkedIn. But if you want to briefly introduce yourself and talk about what you do and what brings you to the AI show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am Julia Dixon, and I'm the founder of ESAI. We help students with college admissions via an AI native platform. This is my second time at the AI show and ASU GSV conference, here to meet awesome people, potential partners, meet founders and funders in the network. I'm super excited to be back.
Awesome, yeah. And I think our whole conversation here will definitely be educational for me as well. I'm learning about ESAI, or SAI.
Yeah, it's essay and
SAI
AI
because
combined.
it's the essays. Now I'm realizing it. Now that I said it out loud.
Exactly.
Because I think when I kind of just saw the general description of it, I was very intrigued. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. But if you want to talk more about the work that SAI does, then I want to dig into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, sounds good. So my origin story is as a college admissions advisor. I used to be an independent college advisor for 8 years, and what I really specialized in was student narratives, helping them come up with essay topics, figure out what it is about this school, how we're going to tell the story of you and how it relates to that specific school. What kind of activities do they have that you want to be a part of? Why this program, even getting as granular as classes and professors that made you interested in that space. So really, individualized storytelling is something that a lot of kids struggle with and something I found very rewarding to help them with. Obviously, independent advisors who can give you that kind of individualized support tend to be expensive. Public school counselors tend to be too busy to do the kind of individual work that I know they'd all like to do. So yeah, my goal with SAI was to do what I was already doing as a human advisor and help more kids with that storytelling support. We mostly help with college essays, program discovery, basically anything around your story and what you've done and how we're going to use that to get you to where you want to be next.
Yeah, I think that just broadly in life, I feel like it's one of those things where this is something hard to scale and do, the idea that somebody could tell you well, just write about this and do that. And it's good luck. And, but the idea of being able to do more substantive kind of quality kind of support and interaction and guidance and all that,
Totally.
I think it's just kind of across the board, a model that I think would be beneficial for a lot of things. But even in this sort of focused application of AI,
Yep.
if you just want to expand on why, you're saying this is just a hard thing for students often, but and the idea, I guess maybe the scalability, but what makes this focused application of AI so important at this moment?
Yeah, it's kind of twofold. Not only is AI really good at helping you see patterns in your life and connecting the dots between your life and your goals, so the school you're going to or the major or career you want to see, pattern recognition is something that AI is really good at, but also just AI in the landscape is changing what it means to build skills in a career. So if AI is automating a lot of hard skills and things that can be outsourced, like technical skills or really any application of a hard skill, then the soft skills like your story and the human stuff and who you are and how it relates to what you want to do becomes increasingly important. So college admissions is kind of the first pain point in that lifelong problem. It's the first time you kind of have to build this story and tell it for a specific context, but it's not the last time. So to me, college admissions is kind of an entry point into this lifelong skill of personal branding that AI is only going to make even more relevant. Our human side matters even more in an AI-driven world. So I'm excited about that. I think AI It's obviously going to outsource some things, but it cannot outsource who we are and the stories we tell. So if AI can just help you tell that story and change it for different contexts and figure out what's relevant, if I'm applying to this school versus that school, or eventually this internship versus that one, we can figure out, how to align our story with the specific goal in front of us.
Yeah, because I would assume, even now where like a lot of people are just using ChatGPT or something else like out of the box, and they might just be like, write me an essay to apply to college. And like, it's that idea of like, great that you're seeking out support and guidance, you're not just trying to do it like, kind of off the cuff. But it's like trying to like do more, do better, and like you said, like, do better over time, even like kind of keep kind of like compounded, sort of results and improvement.
Well, we want to be that place that you can build a story over time, and that's why I do see college admissions as an entry point into storytelling that we can hopefully continue to assist you with. But to your point about like a generalized AI model or ChatGPT, I think it's great for things like editing and outlining, but if you are unfamiliar with college admissions as a whole, if you maybe aren't familiar with the best way to research a school and apply your story in that context, ChatGPT is too broad. It doesn't have real-time information about schools like that. It doesn't know enough about admissions specifically, and obviously it can become unethical if you're actually asking it to write entire essays for you. So that's why I think ethical platforms that are specialized for specific tasks like we are can help students use AI in a way that admissions officers would allow, same way that a human advisor or tutor should never write an essay for you or do the work for you, but help you see your story and help you self-discover in a new way. That's what we try to do on our platform.
Yeah, and I think that's what, like, education being such a sort of specialized place in general, and then all the sort of different functional pieces that go into, even just higher ed specifically, but we're now starting to see, I think, really tangibly the work that people have put in to create these sort of like really contoured and tailored solutions. I think it's just really great and really interesting, but I'm curious, how do you see something like this as something that could support the work of higher ed leaders? So like the staff that are working at an institution, do you see a way that they could maybe leverage something like this or something adjacent to it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're very student-facing and student-driven, so students use us to tell their stories, but at the same time, my hope is that admissions officers are going to have an easier time understanding who these different students are, an easier time finding diversity of talent and interests and backgrounds in a way that like the existing application may or may not allow for them to see. My goal is just that not only can students tell their stories better, but admissions officers have an easier time understanding how this student will thrive at their school, if this student will thrive at their school, and hopefully just make their job, more successful overall. So that's my goal. I think admissions officers being open to AI when it's used ethically is really important. There's some really great groups here talking about ethical AI in the admissions space. So my hope is it can help everyone more authentically apply to schools that they really want to go to and accept students that really deserve to be there.
I guess I just thought of this question, so I'm curious, because I think like the treacherous other way, like if this were not in existence, students did not use it, and I guess that's kind of the current state, is that like students would be crafting kind of, overly generic or kind of sanitized, like inauthentic, or not like they are writing a college application essay, but like, everyone might sort of like end up maybe finding the same like, top one result on Google about how to write, and they all just end up kind of going this different way, but it's not really, capturing their, true personal essence. So like, could you capture that, I guess, a little bit? Because that's what I'm like thinking of is like, like where we are and where we could be and should be and need to strive towards through like using these sort of tailored AI solutions and everything. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that? I guess of like, because like I was saying too, even how somebody might just like go to ChatGPT and just like write me a college essay or whatever. Like more about that sort of like current state and what the problems are with that.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like I think the new version of the #1 Google search result would be like the trending college essays on TikTok. Like there's a couple that have gone viral, and there's very specific formats like, this is why I hate the letter S or whatever the trending college essay is, and suddenly I'm reading all these kids writing very similar
that's interesting. It seems like
formats, which can work, but a lot of times maybe isn't the most original story for you and who you are. So what we try to do is, of course, every student should be trying to express their own values and their own background and their own formative experiences. But when you ask a 17-year-old, like, what's your most formative experience, or tell me your values, those are very abstract questions that I think can be intimidating. Even as an adult, if someone asked me to just list my values, I think I would have a hard time knowing where to start. But when you ask them things that are a bit more approachable, like, what did you and your friends do last weekend? Or like, what's something that you could rant about for an hour and nobody can shut you up about. Like, we can start to get at some of these things by asking them in more teenage-friendly ways. And that's something that's really hard to get out of a ChatGPT unless you already know about college admissions and about self-discovery. And there's a lot of information that you would have to already have that I think 17-year-olds generally don't. So what's nice about our platform is you don't have to know how to prompt. You don't have to know about college admissions, and we will prompt you in ways that are a bit easier and approachable to answer, where we deeply get to know you so that we can give you the kind of suggestions that aren't just the trending formats or the first result on Google. They really reflect who you are, and we can build on that over time.
Well, and I think just to, I guess, in my mind, like kind of summarize and really respect, I think what you're getting at is like, it's obviously very empowering for the student to kind of go on this journey through these prompts and everything and kind of develop that so they feel like they have more agency to, present themselves in an authentic way. But kind of to your point, the idea that it would be easier to kind of validate or differentiate or sort of understand like who is applying to my college. I'm a, college staff member in admissions and everything versus getting all these sort of like milquetoast, kind of bland, generic, essays and everything. You'd be getting something that feels more, cohesive and comprehensive and really reflective of this person.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you still may reject them in the end because it might be like, you're not the right fit for our institution or whatever else for any number of other reasons. But like, you at least are like getting that fuller picture to evaluate more comprehensively that student.
That's kind of the point, right? I think in an ideal world, the best student shouldn't be accepted to every institution. They should be accepted to the one that makes sense for their strengths, makes sense for their personality, makes sense for their goals. Obviously, there are going to be some students who are wildly impressive and have great admissions results across the board, but what I try to show students through deeply individualized support is that not every school is for you and vice versa, but we can find one that is for you, whether it's the highest rated school you can get into or just one that you hadn't heard of before but is genuinely perfect for your budget and goals and everything else. So I think you're right, and I hope that's a good thing overall.
Well, and something else I think just, I think our conversation here has been sort of just referencing back a lot to a traditionally aged student, but honestly, like, I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be helpful for a adult learner who's like, I last went to high school or tried to attempt college a decade or 2 decades ago or something. I need help to present myself in a compelling way for
100%.
any number of reasons of because I think even just in both contexts, like scholarships and different things, like you always need to be kind of talking about yourself, your goals, who you are, like all of that. And I think it's just for across the board, any prospective student, I'm sure could use some help in this area, whether you're traditionally aged or older.
Whether you're like writing a cover letter, applying to a job, or just doing one of those painful icebreakers on like a first day. Like, we are always having to talk about ourselves, and it seems like it should be easy, but it's really hard to figure out what's the relevant thing and how do I tell the story in a way that these people or this institution will care about. And my goal is if we can kind of start to capture the important pieces of your story at this first crucial inflection point, that we can continue to be that resource long term. So that's kind of our long term vision. But right now, it's great to see the applicants get the results that we've been seeing right now because it's college decision season.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, just with you saying, like, as somebody who has podcasted a lot and asked people to like introduce themselves, like people just will give all sorts of versions of that because it's just like
it's
whatever
hard.
you feel like sharing, or if you have a good or better idea about how to present yourself in this format of like a podcast interview or something. So I mean that is kind of a funny sort of approximation or sort of like level setting that is like we talk about ourselves all the time, and I don't think anybody ever gets like a good sort of training or prep on that. So.
Totally.
So as we wrap up, we're asking everybody kind of similar questions to end the conversation on. So what's on the horizon for your work right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've talked about is student storytelling. How do we layer the relevant parts of your background onto this school, this program, this goal, and get really specific with that. Coming this year, last year we helped over 500,000 students in the admissions process. We're planning to do a lot more this year and roll out some pretty cool new features that'll not only help with the specific pieces of where that story comes out, like a supplemental essay topic or a scholarship match that we can give you, but also more visual assets like a dynamic profile that you can literally look at, kind of like your LinkedIn page or a resume, and at the click of a button you can see how your story would look different if you were applying to Indiana versus a small liberal arts school, and just see how your own story can look and feel different at the click of a button. So whether that's something kids use just to empower themselves or they literally want to publish it and share it with admissions, I'm excited about how AI can help people see themselves in new ways and possibly even give them something that they can show and really reflect themselves to other people. So that's a little bit about what's coming this year, and like I said, we're hoping to do long-term storytelling from there. So yeah, a lot to come for us.
Yeah, everybody watch out, take notice. So curious for this one for you, what advice would you give to higher ed leaders right now? Because obviously, like, if you're sort of interfacing and interacting with a lot of folks who are, trying to navigate getting into college and universities and everything. So I guess from that perspective, like, what advice would you give to higher ed leaders right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more qualified to give advice to students than the admissions officers, but what I will say is most admissions officers that I talk to, probably for a good reason, are open and curious about AI, of course with justified skepticism sometimes, but I would encourage admissions officers to be open-minded. I think it's fair to say at this point we all know that AI use is going to happen anyway, so the encouragement of ethical tools, the encouragement of productive use cases of AI, and just being open to how technology can be an equalizer. I don't think it's perfect. I'll be the first to tell you that we have to put a lot of guardrails in place, but I'm excited by the direction that universities and admissions offices are going, and I hope that leaders will continue to be open-minded to new tools and ways that kids can use the tech.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously there's going to be people in the past that were going to be like, I don't know about this whole email thing or something, whatever.
And
it
makes me laugh because people really did try to ban the internet from schools and ban Google, and it's like that feels so funny now, and I kind of think this is an accelerated version of that. I mean, high school kids now don't even remember not using ChatGPT because it's been 3 years or whatever. So it's happening fast, and I think most universities know that, but are still unsure how to put out the right policies. So I hope that everyone can be open-minded and see the positives as well as the concerns that are valid.
Yeah, well, and I'll we're here at the AI show, and I think spaces like this help to, if you're open-minded and curious, you can kind of go around and ask a lot of questions. So, I'm grateful to be in spaces like this, talk with folks like you who are, trying to help build this future. And so really appreciate your time. I'll let you share what ways to connect with you and what you're working on in the show notes. So yeah, just thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks, Dustin. This is fun.
The Higher Ed Geek Podcast is a part of the Enrollify Podcast Network. If you like this podcast, chances you like all the other Enrollify shows too. Our podcast network is growing constantly, and we've got a plethora of marketing, enrollment, and higher technology shows that are jam-packed with stories, ideas, and frameworks all designed to empower you to be a better higher ed professional. Our shows help you find your next big idea and feature a selection of the industry's best as your host. Learn from people like Jamie Hunt, Seth Odell, Dave Kibbolds, and Eddie Francis, as well as so many other of your favorite leaders in higher education. Enrollify is made possible by the support of Element 451, a leading AI-powered, all-in-one student engagement platform helping institutions create meaningful, personalized, engaging interactions with students. Learn more at element451.com.